Good morning, everybody. As the principal of the Heritage Academy, I feel privileged to welcome Mr. Nilanjan Datta, Director Media, All India Football Federation, our guest speaker to our webinar on managing sports in India. Mr. Datta enjoys an illustrated career in sustained success in social media, media relations, match operations in different forms of media, be it a print media, electronic media, or digital media. He is a widely traveled media professional and is the key person in strategic planning of All India Football Federation. As a journalist, he covered a lot of prestigious assignments. To name a few: FIFA World Cup 2010 at South Africa, ICC World Cup 2011, Commonwealth Games 2010 at New Delhi. I feel honored to welcome our Chief Executive Officer, Kalyan Bharati Trust, Sri Pradeep Kumar Agarwal sir, but for his continuous support, encouragement, and giving us the right direction, such event could hardly be organized by us. I also welcome Director Kalyan Bharati Trust, Mr. Praveen Roy, other distinguished guests, members of Faculty of Media Science and other departments, and our beloved students in the webinar. Mr. Datta, let me say a few words about the Heritage Academy. It was set up in 2007 with a student strength of 120, consisting of BBA of 60 and BCA course of 20. Now, over a period of time, through gradual increase in intake in BBA course and BCA course, and subsequently introduction of Media Science Department headed by Professor Dr. Madhupa Bakshi, our student strength at present rose to an admirable figure of 1,000 plus. We are really proud of our Media Science Department, particularly because the students are not only focused to academics, they are quite vibrant. They feel their commitment. They always think doing something different. They have a lot of creativity, and that is the uniqueness. That is essential the uniqueness required from a media science student. And it is possible only because of the excellent leadership of Madhupa and her team consisting of Arjun and others. Now, I would like to say our students are doing exceedingly well, both in academics as well as in career progression. Our students are not only getting passed with excellent results, but also a lot of students have been university rank holders. We have repeated gold medalists in BBA program. We have repeated silver medalist in BCA program, and the first batch of media science master's course students got bronze medal. We are really proud of our media science department to see they are flourishing like anything, and our track record so far UG course is concerned. So media science UG course is concerned, it is they have got mostly of them got good internship, and for postgraduate almost all of them have got good placement with handsome package. Nilanjan, our students, I would like to say our students is not like present day students. They listen to the teachers. They maintain good relation with the teacher. And this is the uniqueness of the Heritage Academy. And that is the reason all of us, in all the members of faculty, me and Madhupa, are really proud of our students. Thank you all. God bless you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Principal Sir. Thank you for being always a support. We look forward for speakers like Mr. Datta to come on our forum. We heartily welcome you. Our students are very excited about sports. They are consistently telling us how do we get into sports, journalism, sports PR. They're consistently asking us. Hopefully your session would enlighten them. And also it's rare that we find somebody who is related to media, related to sports. Mainly we find journalists, but somebody actually managing a sports organization is rare to find in India. Way back in USA, when I was doing my master's, there were lot of enthusiasts, sports enthusiasm people, sports enthusiastic people, and it was really a course that people could take up. Slowly, it's maturing in India, and hopefully, sooner we would be able to give our students much more a concrete career in sports related media, sports and media related years. Thank you, and thank you, Arjun, for bringing him here. Arjun, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. Thank you, Principal Sir. Without any further delay, Nilanjan, we had a brief discussion before the beginning of this session. So our conversations can go a long, long way, but it is time for the students to understand what the basic difference is between playing the game and managing it at a global level. It is a huge paradigm with a lot of opportunities. I'm sure a lot of more opportunities in very different capacities in post-COVID times as well. So you are the best person to tell them and enlighten them on that. I leave the floor to you.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Mr. Banerjee, Madhupa Madam. Thank you so much. It's indeed a privilege for me to be here. And I mean what I say purely because obviously we do seminars, webinars of late, symposiums, but interacting with students is something else. I've been privileged enough to be some guest lecturers of journalism, some universities in Delhi, because they present you the brightest minds and they come up with questions and challenges which sometimes people in sports management do not even foresee, because they take or look at sports management or sports in general from a layman's perspective, which sometimes so-called experts tend to ignore. So students, good morning. Still it's a morning, and really a privilege. Looking forward to this session from with you, all of you. And I want all of you to be as much interactive as you can, because this knowledge transfer is not just from my side. I am here to drink as much I can get from all of you to be carrying back to my organization and the paradigm of Indian sports scenario. So please feel free to ask questions. No questions are silly. I understand you are at the cusp of getting into jobs right now after completing your studies, but I just need to say that there's no alternate to studies or studying in life. So this hurry of getting into jobs, sometimes if it comes to the head, the sociological pressure, the parental pressure, the pressure of friends and relatives, oh, X has got a job, Y hasn't, he has got a job, you haven't. So those things, as much as you can study. I am very jealous of Arjun, a very old friend of mine. He has been studying and pursuing his career for so long. My studies ended quite long back. Somehow I also felt the urge to get into journalism. And looking back, I do regret that I should have continued for some more years, maybe, or maybe parallelly could have continued. I haven't as yet. I'll be looking forward to your questions. And speaking of sports management, yeah, it's not what you see on television or what you see when you go to a stadium. If at all any one of you have been there, I believe all of you or most of you have been there, because there's a lot of meticulous planning involved in organizing a sports event. We'll be speaking about that in detail. And that's what sports management is. And we only see the Virat Kohlis or the Sunil Chetris or the PV Sindhus playing in front of our eyes, but there's a whole lot of a back-end team or the support staff who goes behind the meticulous planning of each and every sports event. I've been lucky enough, God has been kind to give me opportunities to be in with the who's who of Indian sports industry, be in sports events, which has been an eye-opener for me. That has given me confidence, and I'd be wanting to share all of that with you. Prior to proceeding, just wanted to let you know that there are many sports management courses which are there all over the world and also in India. The FIFA Masters being one of the primary one. I come from a footballing background. The UEFA certificate in football management is one. AISTS management, one of my dear friends, Arjun, if you remember, Tina Sharma, she's one of the professors out there. Tina is there as one of the professors at AISTS. Good old days. IISM in Mumbai have a sports management course in India as well. IISWBM in Calcutta has one. In IIM Shillong, as far as I remember, there's not all the IIMs, as far as I remember. I may be wrong, but I believe I am not. IIM Shillong has a sports management course for 1 year. There's also a AIFF Masters course which we have started from this season. The AIFF Masters, we have built it up on the lines of the FIFA Masters, one of the first and the foremost football masters curriculum in the entire Asia. And what we are aiming at is to create professionals, football professionals who can also pass on to other sports management, because sports in India is an industry today and it will only grow. Obviously, during the COVID times, doubts may creep in as to what the future of sports is, but I tell you, eyes closed, it will grow, and you need, and we need, and the entire world needs professionals to be looking into it. There's a difference between that para tournament which all of us may have played or watched while you were. I'm a Bengali. I was born in Kuch Bihar, brought up in Chinsura. My dad and mom stays in Kalyani at the present moment, have played all these sports. So managing that para tournament, football or the cricket tournament, or sometimes even hockey tournaments, and managing the FIFA World Cup is almost the same, but not the same, because therein it's managing, and here it's the total management professional part. You are looking into the logistics part, you're looking into the communications part, you're looking in the promotion marketing part, fan engagement part, media, ticketing, protocol, VIP, competitions, etc., etc. So all of that, with the leagues coming up, mushrooming up, the entire world looking at India because of the young audience that India has, the global market with the advent of social media and the new media, the digital media. So many professionals would be needed. Some of them offer some of these courses which I mentioned. My background, you need to edit a bit of it, because Mr. Banerjee and Mr. Chatterjee and what I believe the young gentleman Shumon said was a bit too much. It's absolutely not as much illustrious as it is. I'm still a learner. I did start my career not in sports, but into the ITC Welcome Group as a sales and marketing executive. Moved on to journalism in Delhi. I was working with the ITC Welcome Group in Delhi, and there in the print media, the television media, I've been fortunate enough to be hosting shows with one of the professors of yours, that's Mr. Chatterjee, Arjun Chatterjee. He used to be the face, the anchor, and me the producer. Lovely memories go back with him. And Arjun, a big thank you to you. And before I end, Mr. Banerjee, you said...
our conversation, because, you know, this relationship is all about role reversals, I think. Where I am, I mean, you are the face of the show now. Please carry on. But I would just like to, since you mentioned your journey, I'm sure students would like to know, what was that key feature that helped you move from a hotel management or hotel industry to the news world, and then to, so what is the basic of it? মানে আমরা যাকে বাংলায় বলি যেটা পারতেই হয়, নয়তো কিছুই হয় না।
Well, that's a long story, Arjun, a long story. I was born into a family of professors. You bang into anyone in our family, you'll find, oh, he or she is a professor. Obviously, my dad, mom, uncle, auntie, Jetu, Jetima, Pishi, everyone felt I should be a professor too. Somehow I didn't like it, and I was an avid football fan, avid sports fan. My baptism in Indian football goes back to the late 70s, early 80s. My dad, I was a tender kid, holding my hand, took me the first Nehru Cup in 1982 at the Eden Gardens. I was there when Mohammad Azharuddin played his first match, test match ever. On that day, I was on that day when the Nehru Cup was won by Wasim Akram, sweeping Viv Richards on one knee into the Ranji Stadium. Lot many sporting events, and it was one of those sporting events of a derby match in Calcutta. Build up of the match said that Bagan were the favorites, and East Bengal would just be blown away. And obviously, the leading newspaper at that time, still the leading newspaper, Anand Bazar Patrika, the then sports editor of ABP, Mr. Rupak Shah, Rupak Da, as I now call him, was building up the entire match, as was all the other media persons in Calcutta. The story goes on that he had predicted that Bagan would be winning hands down, maybe the 5-0 revenge would be taking on that day. Within 15 minutes, we had a certain Baichung Bhuti and a Sanjay Maji heading 2 goals, and East Bengal were all over the park within 15 minutes, 2-0 up. 130,000 people at the stadium. It started from the East Bengal gallery, which was to the right side of mine. I was seated in the VIP gallery, managed a VIP ticket. and it started as Rupak Shaha Hi Hi. It's started just one or two people, and then it took the entire East Bengal audience by storm. Rupak Shaha Hi Hi, they were protesting against Mr. Saha for predicting that East Bengal would be blown away. And then it spread to the Mohan Bagan side, and they joined in because they felt that he had unknowingly and blown up Mohan Bagan, which was not needed, and the entire stadium, 130,000 shouting in one gentleman's name, who's not a player, who's not a bureaucrat, who's not even the prime minister, even a minister or anyone, Rupak Shah Haya, that was a sports editor. I was in my college days, Hubli Mushin College at that time. I felt, hey, no career in the world can give you as much attention as that. I loved writing, got into sports, and that's how the journey started. Didn't get a job in journalism in Calcutta, tried every avenue. And then obviously after doing the management course in tourism management, went to Delhi, was working there with ITC, well settled, good salary. But মাথার মধ্যে যেটা থাকে কিরা চড় গয়া থা, and somehow I got and managed to get into Times of India. I used to do the entire sales calling 8:30 at the ITC Moria. 6 o'clock.
I'm very sorry for interrupting, but I think the students have two takeaway points, which is one is loved writing, and the second is Kira Chad Gaya. So we have this conversation within the industry that if you don't get the kick, don't be here. And if you can't write, don't even think of being here. Yeah, please carry on.
That's absolutely, yeah, I just need to cut it short. And there were days when I did it for 3 months, consecutive months, starting my day at 8:30 at the ITC Moria Sheraton in Delhi, and then going back 6:30, I left the office, or the hotel rather. And then I used to go straight into the TOI office without any salary. I just used to learn page making, Quark Express. Then I was slowly being entrusted with responsibilities and assignments, go and cover local tournaments. And local tournaments, mind you, were volleyball tournaments, local badminton tournaments, which no journalist in the world at the present moment do cover. And there were no PR agencies at that time. And whenever the editor, later on when I joined, Mr. V. Srivatsa, entirely grateful to him, used to come back to me and says, koi khabar hai? Nahi sir, jao volleyball dekh ke aao. Who in Delhi cares about the Delhi Volleyball Association, man? Went, मुंह में गाली देते जाते थे. अरे क्या यार, कहाँ ये दोपहर को 45 degrees temperature में people are sending me. And when I went there, and slowly, that's where how you build contacts. You get into the news. The nose for the news develops. You get to know, understand human psyche. Who can be your sources? You learn to tap news. And unless that baptism or that orientation from my editor, Mr. V. Srivatsa, happened, I couldn't have been a reporter at all. To be a successful reporter, you need to walk, as they say, barefooted on the streets and on the grass. That started. And I took a almost 60% pay cut from ITC Welcome Group and joined Times of India. I've taken quite many pay cuts to pursue my career and passion rather, not career, I would say. And therein the story goes. Arjun, long story, but yeah. Look forward to hearing from the students.
So I'll take we'll try and move towards the student interest areas. And if you can just lay the scene for how students can approach this field of study, and even before that, what is the situation presently? Which are the sports to look for? And how about the market and the economy? Because in post-COVID times, we are in a shutdown, everything is locked down. People are still expecting probably there will be no jobs or something of that sort. How do you look at it?
I do not agree to that there won't be any jobs, especially in the sports market, because even as today, the entire world is still almost shut down, has not reopened as in the manner it should be. The only entertainment, if I can call it, which has restarted is sports all over the world. Not all over the world, I take it back, in some parts of the world. Restaurants may not have opened, the other sectors, the other industries may not have happened. Football matches are already on. There were some tennis matches which were to be started. It hit a roadblock. But the football matches which is going on, it started in Tajikistan, the Korean K-League started it, Europe it has started. Now, all of these matches which are held, the management guys or the operations guys, if I may call them, are into the business. It may be played in empty stadiums. People may be glued to either the television sets or their laptops or their mobile smartphones, whatever it is. But behind the organization of each and every match, even during COVID times, the operations team is fully functional. So sports is an industry which will not be hit by coronavirus, because whenever event happens, the entire back-end team is working. It's not a restaurant that, okay, I'm opening one restaurant. It's not a mall that, okay, it may happen, one opens, two doesn't happen. And in a big tournament or a big international competition, the amount of operations guys which is needed per venue is huge. The LOC is there, the central team is there from the central side, the club side is there. So those jobs cannot be taken away, and will not be ever be taken away from anyone. Be rest assured, the sports industry will be flourishing.
What is the prospect of a media graduate to get into sports, any sports for that matter, cricket, football, all the Olympic sports? And how does one approach the internships? Tell us about the different opportunities and the volunteering opportunities, because you know the Under-17 Women's World Cup is going to come next year, right? And there are a few other tournaments. I mean, all the tournaments are lined up. So please shed some light on it as we start taking questions in some time.
See, with the advent of sports management courses, professionals all over, it becomes a bit difficult for a direct media graduate, whoever she or he may be, to be getting into the stream directly. One. The second part is the internship opportunities are always there. We at our organization have interns coming in from all over the country. They are given a perspective of each and every department. The AIFF is segregated professionally into various departments. Just to let you know, you won't be having any sports federation in the country in India with so many segregated professional departments, even the BCCI. For example, if I start, we have a league department, we have a grassroots Golden Baby Leagues department, we have a grassroots department, there's a women's department, the national team department, there's the coach education department, obvious admin and accounts, logistics, they are part of the admins. We have the referees development department, the national team department, the strategic planning department, the competitions department, and obvious me representing the communications and the media department. So many departments segregated and global, means making the AIFF. So all those interns who come into our organization, it's after a kind of a pact or MOU which is signed between the respective organization and the All India Football Federation in this case. It can't be that X, Y, and Z are interns and they say, oh, I'll only be interning with the women's department or maybe the competitions department. No. For one to be a successful operational guy, sports management guy, you need to have a feel of each and every department. That's what we try to do. Time stays limited. If we have 3 months for an internship course, then we split. Okay, then the guy can be maybe having 2 weeks into each and every department. If it's a 1 month internship course, then it's a kind of a hierarchy. Okay, 3 days there, 3 din udhar, 4 din udhar, complete kar lo. So that's how it happens.
Sorry for interrupting again. I'm sure the students are thinking, are these paid internships?
It depends. It depends. Maybe yes, but very nominal remuneration is paid.
We're not talking
but
about
it still depends as to whether that would be paid or not. And trust me, once someone gets into the internship, the entire periphery of sports management opens up. That's one. And volunteering, obviously, you know, the success for each and every tournament globally, be it tennis, be it golf, be it football, be it cricket, be it squash, be it the NBA, are the volunteers. The success of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup India 2017 was only due to volunteers. I swear. The volunteers were out of the world. They pulled it off for us because they are briefed, and whatever they do reflects on the entire approach and attitude of that organization while hosting the event. And let me tell you that this volunteering part is not only confined to the stadium, the fencing area, or the FOP, which is the field of play. A volunteer who's receiving the teams at the airport with the placard is as much important and significant as the one who's walking the rope marshalling, controlling the photographers on the opening day or the semi-final day or the final day of the competition. The volunteer who's taking care of the team logistic movements is equally important. The volunteer who's taking care of the movement is equally important. It's all in sync. And obviously, volunteering opportunities will be happening even for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. It starts from February 17th to March 7. The dates were from November. It has been pushed back because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So if anyone's interested as and when it happens, do put in
We
your
already have a question
CV.
coming in. How can we apply for those internships? Chumon is asking. But Nilanjan is sounding very confident, you know. I mean, you're sure with the dates, right? I mean, I don't know how long this pandemic will continue. So you already had to defer once, but as of now, you're sure, right? That gives me some light of hope.
It is, Arjun, it is what it is. We cannot avoid it. And obviously, human lives are much more important than a sporting event or any recreation, any part of the world. But we obviously expect that things would be falling into place. We have events prior to that. The season is about to kick off. We play Qatar in Bhubaneswar. The national team plays Qatar in Bhubaneswar, October 6th or 8th, I believe, the return leg. Then the leagues would be starting. There's a futsal league which has also been planned as one of the season openers. But it's all depends on the directives of the ministry. And we would be adhering to what the ministry says. The government directive says any federation cannot go out there and say, hey, come on, we want to play and let's allow us to play. Most importantly, the two camps of the AIFF are waiting. One is the AFC Under-16 boys finals. Last edition, we were into the quarterfinals where we lost to Korea. 90 minutes away from a direct qualification into the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, which was a huge moment for us. We went into the match believing we are beating Korea Republic. That's the confidence of the young guns. Didn't happen. We have again qualified out there. Let's see how it happens. And obviously the camp for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup girls also need to reassemble. Coming back to volunteering, obviously people can approach and people can apply. And unless we have good volunteers, educated volunteers, volunteers are willing to sacrifice because everyone wants to be in the spotlight. Volunteering or any sports management operational job is to stay away from the spotlight. I understand there can be a kind of a jealousy. Oh, the guy whom I don't like is there at the stadium on the final day, and here I am seeing off the referees who have done the semi-final match. My job is not as important. Absolutely not. I believe you are more important than the guy who's there at the stadium. And I tell you an anecdote, Arjun, and all the students. What are volunteers? My experience of the 2015 AFC Asian Cup I was the junior media officer in Canberra, 2015. And it was the second day of the tournament. UAE were playing Qatar. We called it the Dirham match, Dirham battle. The two oil rich countries playing each other. Lot many VIPs coming over, and the entire Asian Football Confederation headquarters were in Sydney. They flew, some drove over to Canberra, and it was Australian volunteers and Chinese volunteers. Many Chinese students who study in Canberra, that being the capital of the country. There's a guy called Alex Cheung. Alex was guarding the SMC, the Stadium Media Center, and the pathway from the Stadium Media Center to the Media Tribune, which we call the press box upstairs on the 4th floor. So the 3rd floor, we have the Stadium Media Center, which is the workplace for all the media guys, the journalists, the RTVs, the broadcasting team, the photographers. And from there, you need to go up. Now, to go up to the Media Tribune, you need an SAD, the supplementary access device. Unless you have the SAD, no one is allowed to go past that. So I told Alex, come what may, whoever comes, Alex, not a fly is to sneak in. That's my brief to you. Okay, Nilanjan, no problem. A university student, and the Australian culture is no sirs, no misters, direct name Nilanjan. Lovely. Good luck. I get a call some around 45-50 minutes prior to the kickoff. The teams are about to enter for the warm-up session. Someone says, hey, where are you? I said, what happened? Come over. There's a kind of a crisis at the SMC. I said, hey, Stadium Media Center is my responsibility. Run as fast as possible. I won't take the name, the director of the competition of the AFC, he and the communications director of the AFC being stopped by Alex saying, gentlemen, I don't care who you are. Unless you have an SAD, I'm not allowing you upstairs. Get an SAD and then I'll allow you. Otherwise, I'll call the security. How do I know you? You are the director, communications director or the competitions director. I don't care. Sorry. That's what he said. I said, my goodness, these two gentlemen who have been leading us there. I go up to Alex and say, Alex, let them in. I know them. He says, no, Nilanjan, you need to give me an SAD for both of them. And unless you give it to them, I'm not allowing, because then you are going against your brief. Looked into my pocket, 2 SADs to them. And they went upstairs. I felt bad. I said, okay, Alex, well done. That's all I could say to him. And they had an inspection of the Stadium Media Tribune, came back downstairs and called me on the walkie-talkie and said, brilliantly done, brilliant job. That's how volunteers should be. And that speaks about the essence of being a volunteer. The guy who was there was not in the spotlight at all. He's not even watching the action. He's doing his job behind the scenes. So that's what kind of volunteers we look for to. Arjuna, up to you.
Yeah, we have questions coming in. Let's go in there directly. So we had Chumon's question. Chuporna is asking, excel in world cricket. Why do you think we lack the same amount of participation and excellence in the arena of world football? Not world football exactly. Do you think there's an absence of acceptance of a new skill pertaining to the same? Yeah, I think you can follow the questions on the chat box as well, Nilanjan. Shomo is also asking what it takes to...
If you could repeat that question, Arjun, please. Sorry, I missed.
Which says, we excel in world cricket. There's too much of excellence there, less of it in football. Do you agree to that? Shomo Sarkar says, how to get a job and internship in AIFF, FIFA, UEFA. We'll take these two and then go to Monov's question. Yeah, over to you, Nilanjan.
The second question first. Getting an internship in FIFA, UEFA, obviously it depends on what the requisites are. And it's easier to be starting maybe locally and then going state-wise, nationally. And then if at all someone gets a chance into the international bodies, because there's always a demand and supply case. So not everyone gets there. But obviously in the AIFF, maybe in the near future, someone can be getting in. That's one. That depends on a lot of talks and also the candidature of the profile of the candidates coming in. We take them through a test. And then only maybe we can have a chat about that later offline.
Test, right?
Also with your management, Shumon. Shumon, I believe so was his name.
So,
and the first question Shomo, sorry.
After that, Chuporna has cricket versus football thing.
See, the cricket versus football thing, cricket is there because they won World Cups. They won the 1983, which changed the entire spectrum of sports in India. They won again the T20 World Cup and 2011 World Cup, the first match and the final match. Arjun, you and me were there. Wild celebrations going on first in Mirpur and then at the Wankhede when Dhoni hit that 6. So commercially, cricket is there because they truly deserve it. No other sports deserve that much of adulation as it is. Having said that, the second sport which is followed in India after cricket is obviously football. European football is obviously followed, but I tell you, there's a lot of silent revolution going on at the youth level in Indian football, especially at the AIFF academies. I just mentioned prior to this about the under-16 team, we made it to the quarterfinals last edition, and 90 minutes away from a direct slot into qualifying into the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Under-15, under-16 boys, the media does not highlight them much. They are on our social media platforms, and we also approach a very cautious attitude because they are underage kids, not 18 as yet. So that's kind of a talent which we have. There's a kind of thing going on in the manner in which they play. There have been results which have been very, very significant. The most important was some of the results which I say, one against Myanmar, one against Kyrgyz, the away match against China, the Jordan match, obviously the draw against Qatar, who play in Copa, who play against Argentina, are invitees to the Copa America. That squad who's playing the World Cup held them. So that speaks about what we are. The difference stays, that's the nature of the sport. It's a club-centric sport and cricket is a country-centric sport. So cricket is there at your face each and every day. So after you play Qatar, you can only play in the FIFA windows for which you can play 10 matches in the entire year, FIFA matches, international matches. Cricket, there's absolutely no stop of playing how many you want to. That's about the nature of the sport. But yeah, I tell you and do assure you that we have arrived and we are arriving Indian football. And we won't be asking you to follow us because forcibly the boys and the girls would be forcing you to follow us and cheer for us very, very soon. That I can assure you, being part of the All India Football Federation.
We have this joke within our journalistic, during our journalistic days, that cricket is a game of just a handful of countries, slightly over 10 countries. And look at the number of countries that play world football, for that matter. I think that much answers Mauna's question. Mauna was an interesting question, a rather personal one. So I would love to know your favorite international club. I forgot. Tell me. And is this Liverpool now? And your support, your favorite player. Shomo is asking, work experience. So you have had working experience with organizations like ICC, Commonwealth. How different or similar is that? Shumon asks again how to prepare yourself. Orithro says, sports fanatic, your job really fascinates and interests me. Great if you can give me some guidance. That's what we are doing, I think. Mono again asks, we are a country of 135 crore. Is there dearth of talent? And Shreya asks, the age-old slump in football, how can football be more competitive? You can answer all of them together, but I am more interested in knowing which is your favorite team now.
I don't have any favorite international club. Never. Never. I have never had any international club. I supported a particular club during my student and college days when I was a fan. Even when I was a journalist, at the present moment, I need to be neutral. I follow Indian football and I have been born for Indian football. I take pride in following Indian football. People may not be following Indian football as much as I do follow, because that's my bread and butter. And you are as good as a Sunil Chetri or a Abdul Sahal or a Subroto Paul or a Gurpreet Sandhu or a Sandesh Jingan. Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo are people from a different planet, entertainers, lovely. I love to watch them, do not support them. I pick up matches. It may sound outrageous, sound weird that someone saying this. I pick up matches and choose matches and watch. That's so. I have no particular favorite football club internationally.
I think, Nilanjan, you haven't stopped worshipping the person who had the hand of God? Have you
no, there can't be. No, never. My baptism in international football started with DM10 and the best ever, which I have watched. His peripheral vision, he was none to me, but he's everything to me. I believe people who watched DM10 will never forget. I believe Mr. Banerjee had the privilege of watching him live, 86, 90, even 2 matches of 94. He was something else, and I can speak about DM.
We'll not get into that because we have definitely. But taking the next questions, how to prepare oneself, and what is the future of Indian football after pandemic? Also, how can football in India become more competitive? I would also like you to talk about a bit on branding. Not just communications, for say, or journalism, branding or marketing of the sport, and where these students can put their best foot forward.
I come to the branding part earlier on, because the other technical questions, let me not get into it, and maybe does not concern each and every one, the competitive nature, how can football improve in India, we can take that offline. See, when you speak about any match operations, it's divided into various segments. Match operations is not that what you see on the field. Match operations is much more than that. It starts with communications. For example, a match is to be played, a tournament is to be played. For example, the FIFA Under-17 World Cup India 2021, when we are coming up with it. I'm taking that example. It starts with communications, communicating to each and every one. How do you communicate? There's the mainstream media, there's the digital media, there's the social media platforms, there's the official social media handles. So you use all of them. And in the sporting paradigm of India, what happens is that in the mainstream, cricket rules, and it's not each and every day in a country of 1.4 billion or around my mailing list has almost around 1,200 sports journalists. Each and everyone would be promoting Indian football. So you need to have alternate ways of promoting. We at our federation have the social media handles, the digital platforms. We have launched the AIFF TV, wherein in each one of the communications, what you want is the narration, what you want to say, what needs to be told to the public, what needs to be told to the fans. And with that, the promotion and marketing is all synced together. So it starts with the communication, the promotional part, the marketing part, the fan engagement part, and the promotion, marketing, fan engagement, that the branding comes in. The sponsors, the marketing partners, whoever it is, you need to be providing mileage to them because it all comes at a cost. Unless those costs are taken care of, and unless those mileage you are unable to provide it to them, they won't be interested in that. And one of the basic things is that there's a CSR of each and every corporate world, which is nowadays compulsory. And that CSR, much of it goes into sports, and a huge amount goes into international events or hosting sports events. That explains the plethora of sports events in India. Of late, that's leagues coming up each and every time. You find an international competition coming up each and every time. So therein the branding part comes, and then the broadcasting. And promotion, marketing, fan engagement, broadcasting, communications are all one package into one. It's each one supplementing the other. And unless each and everyone plays their role, it would be a total failure. So for the Under-17 World Cup, the promotion and marketing, the LOC has certain rights, the local organizing committee, it's a FIFA event. The LOC, whatever rights they have, they would be going out for the Under-17 World Cup in 2017. We sold all what we had. The broadcasting is taken care by the FIFA. The broadcasting rights stay with the masters who are holding the rights for the entire tournament. And once nearer to the tournament, the logistics come into play. The logistics is traveling of the teams, traveling of the match officials, traveling of the management team, traveling of the operational staff. Once they land at the airport to the check-in, to the hotel, to the checkout, to the going out to practice, all needs to be seamless. It all needs to be synced in one thread. There shouldn't be any waiting. That's the biggest challenge. For example, in a FIFA Under-17 World Cup, if you look back, you didn't find any complaint in a country like India that, oh, England were made to wait, which happened in the Commonwealth Games in 2010. So many controversies leading into the tournament. That's because there were not enough sports professionals who could pull off the Commonwealth Games without any glitch prior to the start of the tournament. Once it started, the operational guys were there. But the communications, the promotion, the marketing, the logistics were not taken care of well. The FIFA Under-17 World Cup 27, FIFA in India 2017, not a single controversy were there regarding all of this. So much so, another example I give you, Brazil played in Calcutta, and then they moved to Guwahati to play the semi-final against England. I was traveling from Delhi to Calcutta, and boarded the flight. When I landed in Calcutta, I saw 7-8 calls from my general secretary. Called him up, said, where are you? Kahan ho? Idhar idhar. The competition director is also there. Get back to Calcutta. The semi-final is being shifted from Guwahati to Calcutta. It wasn't official because it had rained in Guwahati like anything. And Brazil flew from Calcutta to Guwahati to play England. And in the evening flight, they were all back in Kolkata. Match day -2, tomorrow match day -1, the next day is the match day. You have logistics to take care, to be taken care of. You have ticketing to be taken care of. It's a World Cup semi-final. We were kind of banging our heads. Each one of all people were on the conference call, on a con call. The online ticketing system was launched. Within 25 to minutes to half an hour, the entire FIFA ticketing system site crashed. There was a huge madness for tickets. It was 68,000 full capacity stadium. Within a day, we sold off all tickets. It was possible because of the support from the volunteers and because there were people, true sports professionals who were there to not panic, guide everyone, act to the situation. Very few countries in the world, very few developed countries in Europe could have pulled it off, I tell you. I guarantee that. So that stays as to what operations is all about. And if I move ahead with the ticketing, there's the VIP and the protocol. VIP is the VVIP person stays. So the VVIP protocol stays different from the VIP protocol. Who takes care of that? There's a separate management team taking care of that. There's a separate volunteers who are taking care of that. It's not, okay, Nilanjan, you go and do it. Absolutely not. I may be tempted with the Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, coming in. My brief for the opening match, India versus USA, in Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, was to each and everyone, hey, we do not want to see you 50 meters nearby the Prime Minister. If you even look at him, that was what a competition director said, because our job was something else. I knew I have been given a job and I need to pull it off. What happens there is someone else's baby. It's not mine at all. I cannot do each and everything. And as and when a tournament starts, there's a huge media management involved. Managing the media, whoever media comes in, it starts with the accreditation process long back. It starts with the numbering of the seats. It happens in international tournaments. For example, Mr. Arjun Chatterjee goes out, he would be given, as per his organization, a seat number, which is maybe row B, seat number 62. He has to be seated out there. It's the responsibility of the media officer. It's the responsibility of the volunteers. It's the responsibility of the management students who are there to pull it off and see that that gentleman X, Mr. Chatterjee, seated on number 62. The pre-match and the post-match press conferences, the interviews which you see, which you watch on television, Lionel Messi walking in, okay, Jurgen Klopp coming and giving a flash interview, just arrival interview. Whose responsibility is that? It's the responsibility of the media officer. Have to be there, ask the coach, brief the team media officer from prior. That cannot wait at all, because those are sponsor obligations. After the match, immediately you have the star players who have performed well in the match, be it cricket, be it football, any team sports, coming over and speaking to you. The immediate thoughts about the match. It's not the post-match presentation or post-match press conference. Whose responsibility is that? The media officers. Now the challenge stays that the players can go out to cheer the crowd. They can be doing the Viking claps, emotions up and down. People have lost, they may want to wait. People have won, they may like to celebrate. People may have won, still out of the tournament, not into the quarterfinals, in very bad mood. But somehow or the other, using your management skills and common sense, which some of the questions said, what do you need to do? It's not about only the studies that you do or the management courses that you do. Degrees obviously are important, but using your common sense and acting as per the common sense, managing the situations, man management, situation management, you can only get it from your experience and when you are exactly in that hot seat. There are experiences which crop up. You cannot just all of a sudden say, oh, I have degree from the best university of the world, I can pull it off. Despite your degree, you need to be a trainee out there, learn the process, go ahead, learn again, and do the job for you. So each and everything which is watched globally on TV is all synced by the sports management team.
I would interrupt there, since we are running out of time. There are a lot of questions coming on how Indian football can be more competitive. What are the youth training centers? But since we have, I'm saying this to the students, since we have Mr. Datta to share experiences and inside views of where you can reach out to in your career growth and what are the opportunities, I'm keeping those questions at bay for the next opportunity whenever he's in town, or if this pandemic continues in another webinar, maybe I'll throw those questions at him. But Nilanjan, quick last two questions before we wrap up. How important is it to have higher education, master's degree? Because I keep telling them that you will fall short somewhere down the line if you find the next guy sitting to you having a master's or a foreign degree or somewhere. So please strive, don't rush, get that degree, and then also as you study, try and get associated with some workspace and keep improving yourself. That is one question. And the final, please answer that. I'll ask the last one after that.
Second, that spot on, there's absolutely no alternate to higher studies. At this age, people are tempted to be moving out for jobs. I committed that mistake. I was a student in Jadavpur University, quite a good student, academic student, but somehow or the other, 1 week prior to my master's examination, I felt I won't be appearing for the same. There was some student politics going on there. I felt that I may fall a prey to it. It was my assumption. I said next year. My dad went mad. Important, impossible, can't happen. No, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. Eventually, it didn't happen. My advantage stayed that I had all the education of the master's course, and but didn't have the degree. But you people, kids of this generation, are lucky because you have such management courses in front of you. When we were there, we were either an MSc or an MA, Master of Arts or Master of Science, nothing more. And if we want to pursue higher studies, MPhil कर लो, PhD कर लो, वही तो करता है. और छेले कोरेचे देखो, नमुक बाबू छेले कोरेचे, नमुक बाबू में जाने professor होएगा. That's all the orientation which we had. There were no opportunities at all. The society hadn't opened up. But you people are lucky, and when you have this opportunity, for example, you are there at the Heritage Academy. During our times, where did we go? Hooghly Motion College, Don Bosco School, Hooghly Motion College, Jadavpur University. उसके बाद कहाँ जाए? पता नहीं. And other than Jadavpur and Presidency, भाई, I couldn't think of anything. अच्छा ठीक है, तारपरे जानी ना की होबे, nothing. So you people are having so much dimensional aspects added to your education. So make use of it. Go in for higher education. And what happens is that if you join a job now, you may be feeling that, okay, in the 400-meter race, I may have started 10 meters ahead. I may am 100 meters ahead of my next competitors, 100 meters behind. Mark my words, you'd be working, each one of us, in whatever sphere or administration or whatever capacity you may be, for minimum 35 years or more than that, because life does not end at 60 nowadays. It goes beyond.
Never. Yeah.
So all those 35, 40 years is a huge time. So you need to constantly update yourself, upgrade yourself, rediscover yourself, reinvent yourself. How do you do it? You need to do it through the higher studies. And when there are opportunities coming up, when there's an educational course, there's a reason why the course is there. So make use of it. You can do it simultaneously, parallelly, while even if you want to join a job, but do pursue and continue. That's where I'm jealous of Arjun. In fact, he has been a shaping scholar.
I haven't
but
covered
his studies.
you have yet. So let's swap our jobs for some time. You will mind, I won't. But no, jokes apart.
Obviously.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I don't mind swapping jobs because being with the students is something which I love, and whatever India or sports scenario, let me not speak about India, whatever the sports management definition will be in the next 10 years is not because of me or my colleague or my boss or my senior or the guy who's subordinate to me. Absolutely not. It's because of these ladies, gentle ladies and gentlemen, the young bright souls and the minds who would be taking up the entire thing by storm, leading by example. So I love being with students.
Nilanjan knows this, so I'm going to tell this to the students. I was chased out of KPS Gill's house, chased out by dogs, barking dogs, for interviewing him on Commonwealth Games and all those tough questions that I put in for. And you know, his residence was just next to our former President Pranab Mukherjee's residence. And I came out of I was a very young guy, fresh from Calcutta to Delhi. That was one of my first assignments. And if I had failed with that interview, I would have been somewhere else. So I called up Nilanjan.
I remember that interview.
You remember, right? I just called him and said, we call each other in a certain way. So I said, Kukur diye tadiye dilo. So first thing he said, he did not ask me whether you got bitten or what. He said, interview ta pechis to? And I said, yes, I got the interview. But after that, his dog started barking at me, and we are out. Then he asked, "Kamreche naki?" I said, "Na kamrai nahi, to bage thake jhap mereche." Bolo, "Oh, thik ache. Age story ta chaliye ne, pore tetanus to diye nish." So that is how life is. Okay. So all you guys out there, I can tell you also, Sheila Dikshit once told me, this was during the Commonwealth Games, in 7 months, 19 flyovers were constructed in Delhi before the Commonwealth Games, and she said, our universities, our colleges should prioritize sports as a very important subject in any stream, because sports is not just a subject which provides employment for people interested. It also has too many parallel and ancillary opportunities growing with it. So as Nilanjan was pointing out, any under-17 World Cup or any big tournament involves too many logistics, not just budding journalists, but budding students who want to get into branding, marketing, and all of that can have a serious thought on the matter. We have to wrap it up. I know conversation comes to an end with you, Nilanjan. I'm grateful for your time. I think we had a fantastic session. I think students enjoyed it. One last word from you for the students.
Pursue your passion. Don't give it up. Don't rush into a job. And be in sports. Whether you join the sports industry or not, be in sports. Because if you play, it improves your physique, improves your health. We live in an era where we are eating fertilizers. We are not eating organic food well at all. And need not be a player at all. Indulge yourself in sporting activities that will help the society, the future generations, and obviously you'll have a huge impact on your lives. I would ask all of you to play football for my reasons, very selfish reasons. Once you kick the ball, the lives will be kicking off without doubt, and pursue your passion. And there's absolutely no compromise with higher studies. There can't be any. I would love to be coming back. I drop into Kolkata very often. Being an old friend of a family friend, like a younger brother, would be happy to meet all of you again. Obviously, Madam Dhupa, if I remember the name right.
Ma'am is here. I'll ask her to have a word. Thank you so much, Nilanjan. Since I can see Ma'am here as well. Ma'am, one last word before we pass it on to
Yes,
Somu,
yes,
who will wrap it up.
Nilanjan, we want to hear more. That is obviously there. We would love you to talk to from time to time to the students, because a lot of them are very excited about sports, want to go into internships into sports. In fact, we might go knock on your door for their internships when we actually open up, hopefully sometime next year. They can physically travel and go ahead and join some place. So probably if there are internships which are available online also, we don't mind. Our student, if there are any opportunities, I'm sure our students would love to explore it. So that is one avenue, and please do come and share your insights. For me, it was quite interesting, because these are things that the students want to hear, and being sports is such a narrow and niche area. Everybody knows everything about sports, but when it actually happens of managing it, there are very few people out there who actually know it. So thank you for giving us insights.
Thank you so much, Mr. Datta, for this fascinating session. I'm sure it must have been a great learning experience for many of us. We would thank you for this amazing presentation and explanation of yours. So also I would like to thank our Dean, Dr. Bakshi, and our Principal, Professor Gaur Banerjee, for their continuous support, and without whom we couldn't have done this thing. And I would also like to thank our professors, faculties, Professor Arjun Chatterjee and Professor Barnali Ray and Tomal sir, for the continuous support and inspiration. We're looking forward to see all of you guys in the next webinar sessions. Until then, stay safe, take care. Thank you.